Hello everyone and welcome back to Alex on Irons, and in today's video I'm just going to take you through all of the rumours that are circulating around West Ham with ingoings and outgoings currently, because there's a whole lot of noise but not a lot of concrete stuff happening, which is normal. It's obviously only the middle of July and we've got a while in the transfer window, and West Ham normally do a lot of business late anyway, so it's not that surprising to me that we're not in deep negotiations for any players. But there are some players circulating, there are some murmurings and rumours. Weirdly, it's a lot of players that I'm aware of, so I'm going to take you through those, and we'll talk about the likelihood, whether I'd like them at West Ham, and of course, get in the comments down below, let me know, out of all these people, if you could sign, we'll say two, we'll keep it realistic, if you could sign two of the players that are in this video, let me know in the comments below, and we'll have a little discussion. But the first big one, and the one you probably saw on the thumbnail, Jack Grealish. Apparently West Ham are interested. Not surprised. Isn't everyone going to be interested? He's a player that still has a lot to give, and I've seen a lot of comparisons on Twitter to Jesse Lingard in terms of you could see a loan to West Ham happening here. The only issue is I don't know whether Man City would sanction a loan without a mandatory buy clause. Potentially wouldn't be the worst thing for West Ham, but it's not going to be cheap, and if we're already struggling to get players, for me the winger isn't a position we need to really get back up for yet, because we've got Guilherme, we've got Cornet, we've got Somerville, we've got Bowen. I don't know why Guilherme and Cornet were the first names that came to my head, but hey. But will I love Jack Grealish? Of course I would. Not only do I think he's a great player that we saw, especially at Aston Villa, but also at Man City, but I do also believe that he is a player that would really get on well with the West Ham fans. He loves a laugh, doesn't he, Jack Grealish? And also, apart from that, he just seems like a really good bloke, which I know doesn't seem like a lot, but to have a footballer be outwardly so open and honest and himself is rare. A lot of players are quite closed off. Jack Grealish is very much, I can imagine what you see is what you get with him. You can tell there's not really an act there, it's just this is who he is, and yeah. But in terms of getting him in, I'd love it. This is one of those where I love it, but do I think it's realistic? No. But if we can get Jack Grealish and we have the availability to do so, then 100% we go in. These are sorts of players that can really transform our team, because right now we are seen as potentially a 1-2-man team with Bowen and Paqueta and a few good squad players. Grealish could be one of those that could really bring buzz to London Stadium, and that is a signing where people, their tails will be up. With the thought of that signing, so I'm good for it. Jack Grealish probably for me is the one player out of all these that interests me the most. But second to that is a man I made a video on a couple of days ago, Harvey Elliott. Quick update on him. So it did appear, I read last night, it looked that Aston Villa and Newcastle were in the lead. However, a report came out that West Ham still do believe there is a chance. However, it is a small chance. And what I'm saying to this is I'm happy that we are still trying. We have not thrown the towel in. We've not gone, yeah, the big clubs are coming now, so we're going to back away. No, we're still trying to convince him, and that gives me hope. Maybe not that we get this player, but we can get a player of similar calibre eventually over the line at West Ham. Do I think it's likely now? It really depends how he fits into Unai's system or Eddie Howe's system, and whether he sees himself in that, or whether he can see himself being played more at West Ham, because it's very clear he just wants minutes. I think that's going to be his driving factor towards this move, somewhere where he is actually part of the main squad, not just on the bench. And I think obviously we can give him that. Maybe Villa is the better place for him. I think Newcastle's midfield is pretty stacked. Not that they wouldn't make way for him, but I just think that out of the options, I think Villa is the more likely destination. But of course, I'm holding out hope that West Ham will get in Harvey Elliott. I just think it would be a great signing, wouldn't it? It would be lovely. Now you're gonna have to bear with me for this one, because this is one of the players I don't know. We are rumoured to be interested in Genoa defender Connie de Winter, who is valued at 25 million euros this summer. Now, interestingly, obviously we dealt with Genoa last season, loaning out Maxwell Cornet. But it's hard to tell with this one because I don't know the player. I know nothing about the player. What I will say is, this to me only works if we get rid of Naif Aguirre or Mavropanos. We can't be spending 25 million on a defender. I think it's going to come to the point where eventually we are using the loan market. Wouldn't surprise me if we do a deal with Genoa and go, look, we loaned you Cornet, you loan us this guy, we'll figure something out. When it comes to the player, I know little to nothing about the player. He could be really good. If you guys know a lot about him, let me know in the comments, because I certainly don't. This is definitely a Malik Juff situation where I just don't know anything about him. But again, those transfers excite me. But in terms of this video, I can't really give you comments on whether I would want to see him at West Ham. Like I said, I could even think that 25 million euros is a bit steep given the sell to buy operation we've got going on. And as you'll find out in this video, when we do the sell bit at the end, there's not much going on at the minute in terms of us getting rid of players. So yeah, 25 million euros on the defender. It's not the first position that I would fix at West Ham, given the fact we've still got all of the defenders here at the minute. If one of them goes, this could be a great option. Next up is James McAtee. Now, it's come out in the reports that he actually would like a move away from England and away from the Premier League. Yeah, I'm not... This is one of those transfers where if you told me a year ago, I would have been up for this. I would have been like, yep, let's go. This is great. Now, I don't think I would, because he was still demanding quite a high fee. On a loan, potentially. With no obligation, maybe an option. Although he's still young and has great promise, he has gone off the boil a bit in the last couple of seasons. And we need a midfielder that can just go in there and reinvent the midfield. And I don't think that's him. I think he would be really good eventually, but he needs a good run somewhere, and I don't think that right now West Ham is the right place to do it for him, because he'll be in a struggling midfield. I don't foresee it helping his confidence, and I think he needs to go to a place where he will benefit from getting that confidence back, because he's only young. Hearing all this report as well about him going off the boil can't be nice for him. So yeah, I wouldn't be against it, but he certainly wouldn't be my first choice. But it wouldn't be one of those signings where if we did get him, I'd be like, oh my god, what have we done? It's not that at all, because again, there's a lot of potential there, but I just think that he would demand a high fee still because of that potential. I don't think we see enough ability for the fee to worth it for West Ham given our financial state, because I do think it'll be around the 35-40 million mark, and I don't think we should be spending it on James McAtee when you could spend that money on a Harvey Elliott. Speaking of Liverpool though, Tyler Morton is another player we could be interested in bringing to the London Stadium. It's being reported that he's available for a fee of 16 million. Yeah, it seems good to me. Like, this is if we can't get Harvey Elliott, Tyler Morton is not a bad backup at all. He's actually probably in ways better because of the value for money. And actually, the more I think about this deal, the more I like it. And yeah, I think Tyler Morton, why not? I think it would be a really good move for him. Yes, we're not in Europe, but I also think he's one of those players that hasn't really hit the mark yet where he will be thinking, I should be playing in Europe. I think coming to a club at West Ham, 16 million, I think it'd be good, but the issue is we're going to have a lot of competition, and if one of those big European clubs do come in for him, it could be curtains for West Ham in terms of getting that player over the line. But also, I don't think, that should, again, deter us from making those kind of transfers. I think we should still be acting like we're a big club, because it shows ambition for us to get back into Europe. I know that sounds silly, but if you just go, oh yeah, we can't get the transfer because European clubs come in, then it shows that we're a level below. Whereas actually, if we be ambitious, even with this sell to buy, which is really hampering us this window, it shows that we have the ambition to get back to the heights we were at once before. And I think Morton would be a really good addition to the squad. You have a defender with legs in there. I'm all about this transfer. I think he's actually a bit underrated, to be honest. I would be excited to see him at West Ham. Next up is Leicester's El Khanous, who has a relegation release clause of 22.5 million. I'm not against it. There's a player who is on this list further down that I would much rather have out of the relegated sides, but he's a good player. It's very obvious he's a good player. 22.5 million. The issue is with El Khanous, it's hard to tell, because when he was at Leicester, he was in a terrible Leicester side. So it's hard to tell how he actually adapts to the Premier League. When he's in the side like that, it's tricky, right? Dropped to 22.5 million on him, which by the way is not a bad price. If I was Leicester, that's what I would want. I'm not saying that is a ridiculous fee. I just don't know if he's my first choice. Once again though, he would be an attacking midfielder and he would do a job. And I think the only reason I'm a bit against this is because the other relegated player, which I'll get onto now, Matheus Fernandes, is where I would be all over this one. Matheus Fernandes, we're rumoured to be looking at him. He would be the one that I would go, that's the player. It would be Matheus Fernandes. I think he's shown a bit better quality. in a worse Southampton side. It's hard to look at any of those relegation teams and kind of pick which one was worse. I mean, you can look at the table, sure, but in terms of the actual where they played, I think Ipswich were a level above. I think they were better. I think they had moments in games where they showed true promise. I think that does come down to McKenna. Yeah, Fernandez shone in a struggling Southampton team. I think we go get him. I hope he would want to come to us. I hope that he wouldn't want to take the big step up to a European club, and I think we'd be getting him at the right time. I also think the money we would spend, I would like to think it's guaranteed profit on a player like Matheus Fernandes. I could be wrong though. I could be well off the mark and he could go for 7 million in 3 years, but you would like to think getting a player like him in would be guaranteed profit for the club, and I do think that we need to get players that are going to help us profit in the not too distant future, because you look at our signings and we're not very good at getting profit. I think Matheus Fernandes is guaranteed profit. Same with Tyler Morton, actually. I should have brought that up. Tyler Morton as well, guaranteed profit. I think those two signings are good because they'll guarantee profit. And I think those are the two midfielders that would fix our midfield in terms of giving us the options along with our youth players. My ideal midfield this season would be Paqueta, Souček, Alvarez, Matheus Fernandes, and Harvey Elliott or Tyler Morton, depending on which one we get. Those would be the 5, and then you have Potts, Earthy, Orford. Which I know is 8 options, but it depends what system we play, where it will work, and I expect Potts, Earthy, and Orford to all be options off the bench. The midfield is a tricky situation right now, because at West Ham we want a midfield rebuild, but we also want to incorporate Orford, Potts, and Earthy. So how do you do that at the same time? It's a tricky game, but I'm sure Potter is the first manager that we've had in a while that I will trust to embed these players into the squad, because I've seen it with Skulls and Orford to a lesser extent, but he's still given Orford a go. I wouldn't have seen that under David Moyes especially, and Lopetegui wasn't really here long enough to really have the opportunity to. I think the midfield needs to rebuild in a couple places, and I think we will have to let someone go. For me, of the big midfielders to let go, it would be James Ward-Prowse. The other player we're linked with is Sassuolo striker Andrea Piemonte. If I've got that wrong, Piemonte, then I'm sorry. I know nothing about him again. It's nice to be linked to strikers, but this one has gone really quiet, so I don't know anything about this. I was wondering this up to highlight the shock of there not being more strikers in here. I'm really happy about the amount of midfielders that we got in here. A couple of defenders, sure, but striker is a position we need. Right now we've got Nicholas Fulkrug. That's it. We ain't got Danny Ings, we ain't got Antonio. Well, I'm happy to see, especially Ings out the door. Antonio is a bit more of a grey area. But we need to be linked to more strikers, because we know Fulkrug. I love Fulkrug when he's on the pitch, but we know he's injury prone, and I do not want to see Bowen up top. I don't want to see it. I don't want to see Paqueta in the false 9 because it didn't work. That's all of the rumours of people coming in. What about the rumours of people going out? None. The only rumour we got is that Genoa are still interested in Maxwell Cornet. There was a rumour that a Mexican side were interested in Guido Rodriguez. However, that was denied by the club. So there's nothing. And for a window where we need to sell before we buy, apparently, we're not doing a very good enough job of getting players out the door. And that is worrying. And even then, how much money can we command for these players? I don't know. So yeah, that's it, guys. Maxwell Cornet might be going back to Genoa, but they want a loan. We obviously want to sell him. Maybe we could work something out for that defender and do something there. Maybe that would make the defending signing more interesting. I'm not against player for player transfers. We'd obviously have to give them a bit of money because the value for Cornet is going to be much lower than De Winters. But I'm not against doing a player for player transfer if it means getting a player that is infinitely better. So there you go, guys. That is all of the West Ham transfers this Thursday. I will be back with a new video soon. Remember to like, comment and subscribe, and give me your 2 players from this video that you would sign. Thank you guys all so much for the support on the channel recently. It's been the first full week of proper launching it, and you guys have been really kind. You guys have supported the TikTok, which you can find on the YouTube channel. The TikTok is linked. And yeah, see you all soon. Take it easy. Have a good weekend. If I don't see you, goodbye.